For almost 3 weeks, the one voice every NASCAR fan was waiting to hear stayed quiet. Then, on Monday morning, June 8, that silence finally broke. Kurt Busch sat down and shared what his heart had been holding in since the day his little brother Kyle died. If you have followed racing for any length of time, you know how big this moment is. Kurt and Kyle were not just brothers. They were the most winning brother duo in NASCAR history. And losing Kyle has shaken the entire racing world to its core. Let's walk through everything Kurt said, what we now know about Kyle's final days, and why this loss cuts so deep. Kurt's message came on Instagram, paired with 6 photos. Some showed the brothers as little kids, others showed them as grown men, standing side by side at the racetrack. There were sweet snaps of Kyle's wife Samantha and their 2 children, son Brexton and little daughter Lennox. Kurt started the post simply, "Thank you from the bottom of my heart," he wrote. "Thank you everyone for the well wishes, support, and love for my brother and our family." It was a quiet thank you to fans, friends, and fellow drivers who have reached out since May 21. Then Kurt opened up about their early days. "Finding a silver lining, I reflect back on the days Kyle and I raced anything we could get our hands on," he said. "From big wheels to competing on the biggest stages in motorsports, we were more than just fierce competitors." He kept going, painting a picture of the bond they shared. "We pushed each other, challenged each other, and learned from each other," Kurt wrote. "Kyle, your passion, determination, and love for your family inspired everyone who knew you. But the part that has so many fans in tears came next." Kurt said no win or title could ever measure up to what Kyle meant to him. No trophy, championship, or accomplishment could ever measure the impact you had on my life and on so many others, he shared. "I will forever be grateful for the memories we made, the lessons you taught me, and the brotherhood we shared." He ended the post with words that flooded social media. "My heart is broken, but I know your spirit will always ride with me. Rest easy, little brother." Kurt is 47 years old now and retired. He stopped racing in 2022 after a hard crash at Pocono Raceway gave him a concussion. He is nearly 7 years older than Kyle was. Some fans wondered why Kurt took so long to speak, but anyone who has lost someone close knows grief does not run on a schedule. Kurt has always been louder on the track than off it, so his quiet weeks felt natural to those who really know him. Now, let's go back to what happened to Kyle. Kyle Busch died on Thursday, the 21st of May 2026. He was just 41 years old. The day before, he was rushed to a hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hours later, he passed away. The family later shared what doctors told them. Kyle had been fighting severe pneumonia. That sickness turned into sepsis, which is when an infection spreads through the body and starts shutting it down. As his family put it through a spokesperson, the medical evaluation provided to the Busch family concluded that severe pneumonia progressed into sepsis, resulting in rapid and overwhelming associated complications. Reports later showed Kyle had been battling a bad sinus infection and a stubborn cough for days, maybe weeks. The tough race conditions made it worse. The day before he went to the hospital, he actually passed out while inside a Chevrolet simulator. He never made it to the Coca-Cola 600 that weekend, the race he was scheduled to run just 3 days later. Kyle leaves behind a career that almost feels too big to put into words. He was a 2-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. He won a record 234 races across NASCAR's top 3 series. That includes 63 wins in the Cup Series, 102 wins in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and 69 wins in the Craftsman Truck Series. He raced in more than 760 races over a 2-4-year career. Earlier this year, he even claimed his first ever Daytona 500 pole. His fan base, the loud and proud Rowdy Nation, knew there would never be another like him. Team owner Richard Childress later shared something that made the loss feel even heavier. Kyle was about to sign a contract extension to keep racing for RCR through 2027. That announcement was supposed to happen at Michigan. It never got the chance to. Now, about the brothers themselves. The Busch boys grew up in Las Vegas in a racing family. Their dad Tom raced too. Kurt has said before that there were even some races in the 90s with 3 Buschs on the track at once. As Kurt joked, Mom was a little stressed to say the least. Kyle was even his big brother's crew chief when Kurt raced dwarf cars as a kid. The two of them later went on to make NASCAR history together. They are the only brothers where each one has 30 or more Cup Series wins. They beat the old record set by Bobby and Donnie Allison back in 2023 when Kyle picked up his first win at RCR. They had 4 1-2 finishes together on the track during their careers. Their bond was not always smooth. In 2007, the brothers had a famous crash at the All-Star Challenge while fighting for a $1 million prize. After that, they did not speak to each other for months. It took their grandmother stepping in to get them back on speaking terms. But once the dust settled, the love between them never really faded. Kurt himself is also a champion. He won the 2004 Cup Series title and finished his career with 34 Cup Series wins, including a Daytona 500. He was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in January 2026. Kyle was right there with him on that big night. It is one of the last photos people have of them dressed up, smiling, side by side. Kurt's first public appearance after Kyle's death actually came before this Instagram post. 3 days after Kyle died, Kurt showed up at the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He walked over to a black number 8 painted in the infield grass and gently laid down 8 white roses. Those flowers stayed there, untouched, for the entire race. Nearly 100,000 fans watched in silence. The whole field of 39 drivers paid their respects. NASCAR CEO Steve O'Donnell stood with the family and told them, "We got you." Kyle's wife Samantha also spoke out before Kurt did. Just a few days before Kurt's post, she wrote her own message of thanks. "The love that has surrounded our family during this unimaginable time has brought comfort in the middle of so much pain," she said. She thanked everyone for prayers, messages, flowers, meals, hugs, and countless acts of kindness. She added that the messages have carried us through the most heartbreaking days of our lives. Then came her tribute to her husband. "Thank you for loving Kyle. Thank you for honoring him," she wrote. Other NASCAR stars have also spoken about Kyle. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. wrote, "There aren't really words for today. I've raced against Kyle for a long time, and anyone who's lined up next to him knows exactly what made him special. He gave you everything he had, every single lap." Dale Earnhardt Jr. shared the details of his very last conversation with Kyle. And at Michigan over the weekend, Denny Hamlin honored Kyle with a special victory lap after his historic win. Hamlin even tied Kyle for 9th all-time in Cup Series wins that day. Across the whole NASCAR world, moments of silence continue. Broadcasts still pause. Drivers still pay tribute. The garage still feels his absence. For Kurt, though, this is much more personal. He did not just lose a fellow racer. He lost the kid he grew up with, the one he raced go-karts and big wheels with, the brother who pushed him to be better every single lap.